All right, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Desert Hot Springs Public Safety Commission for Thursday, December 8th, 2022. Can I get a call to order? We just got that. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Lozano?
Here.
Commissioner Eastman?
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell?
He's absent, but according to communications, he's sick and he does not want to make anyone else sick.
Vice Chair Muse?
Here.
Chair Meyer?
Here. All right, great. Brian, you want to lead us in the pledge, please?
Place our right hand on. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Brian. All right, we need an approval of the agenda. So it looks like we got a couple items tonight on the new business section and the regular reports. So anybody want any changes made or anything? No? Okay.
I'll second it, or approve it.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Oh, I'll make a motion to approve it. I thought I heard
Can
something.
you get a second? Okay. We voting on the computer, Daniel, or are we voting in roll call?
On the computer, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You want to hit the move, Lee? That move? There's a green square that says move.
Oh,
Mine's not going.
Oh, okay, now it's ready for a second. There we go. Okay, we're good. Are you still down? There you go.
Motion passes
Okay,
unanimously.
great, thank you. All right, same thing for the minutes. And I believe I need to abstain from these minutes because I was not there. So if you could review them, and if anyone has, can get a motion to approve the minutes for October 13th.
That was, you let it. You let it. So, I'll approve it. I will second it. Make a motion to second that.
okay, I approve it.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve from Donna.
Yep.
Brian's going to second it.
Yep.
So you want to hit that green move button on there, Donna, please?
I forgot, thank you.
There you go.
Oops.
Second from Brian.
You got it?
And please vote.
And the meeting went very well, just so you know.
Yeah, just going to rub it in that I wasn't here, huh?
We are.
I see how it is.
Did my best.
Okay. All right, do we have any public comments?
We need Commissioner Eastman to vote.
Oh,
This thing ain't working.
Lee, did you
Just
vote?
use my finger or what?
I voted.
Okay.
I thought I did.
I'll do it.
Hit your button again,
This
Lee.
isn't working.
Motion passes 3-0 with
3-1.
We're good.
There we go. Okay,
Walt
we're
Meyer
good.
abstaining.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any public comment cards, Daniel? Anyone requesting to speak?
We do not.
No? Okay. All right, then we'll move on from public comments, and we will move right into new business item number 1, the Emergency Command Center presentation from our fire department.
Hey.
Good evening, Commissioners. As promised, I was able to get some of our ECC leadership team to come to deliver a presentation for you today about our Emergency Command Center. This is Michelle Manwaring and Jamie Cook from the Paris ECC Command Center, and they're going to give you a little presentation, and I'll answer any questions that you might have afterwards.
Good evening. Michelle Mainwaring, and this is my partner, Jamie Cook. We're both supervisors with Riverside County Fire. We have over 19 years' experience in dispatch, and we came today to give you guys some information on the functions of the Emergency Command Center and what it takes to be a dispatcher. So Riverside County Fire, we are an integrated fire department. We are contracted with CAL FIRE for fire protection. Our dispatch center is in Paris, California. In 2021, our ECC, so our Emergency Command Center, handled over 183 emergency incidents. To this date, we are currently approximately over 9,000 above where we were last year this time. We dispatch 98 fire stations countywide. This includes 20 contract cities and 7 dispatch contracts, with Desert Hot Springs being one of our contract cities. The purpose of the ECC is to receive reports of emergencies from a variety of sources. We receive 911 calls, alarm companies, et cetera. We assign resources based on a pre-planned response criteria based off of how questions are asked to the caller. We coordinate interagency incident activities, support incidents as needed, provide internal, external information, and document the activity.
So right now, we're going to go over a little bit of the process to become a dispatcher. So everybody that becomes a dispatcher has to go through a hiring process. They have to pass what's called a critical test, where in the critical test, it's multitasking. So it's a computer-based multitasking test. They also have to do a typing test, where it's 45 words per minute or more to pass the test. Once they pass the test, then we go through the hiring process. Before they're allowed to do any kind of interviews, they actually come and sit through what's called an information session with the command center, where we go over kind of what we do in the dispatch center and what a dispatcher actually is, because some people applying for the position don't really understand what we do. So part of what we're going to go over right now is kind of what we give to them in that information session before they get hired, so they know what they're getting into, but also so you guys can understand kind of the process and how strenuous it is, right, to go through. So our call takers in the command center, what they do is they answer emergency and non-emergency phone calls. So it could be anywhere from a citizen just having questions about a fire station, or asking if it's a burn job today, right? If we can burn weeds in a trash can, those kinds of questions, right? Sometimes it's just, hey, who works at this fire station? We don't necessarily give names, but we can answer questions. Or if it's something related to a city that doesn't necessarily pertain to the fire department, we'll just give them the information to go to the right area, get that information. Emergency calls can be anything from they cut their finger, and to them that's an emergency, right? They got a paper cut, and for whatever reason, for them, that's an emergency. Or it could be a full arrest, and we're doing CPR on the phone. We also have radio dispatchers. Those are the ones that you're going to hear on the radio, dispatching the units to the calls based on the computer-aided dispatch system. We dispatch resources to incidents. When resources get to incidents and they request more resources, that's also going to come through us, and then we're going to go through the process and dispatch further resources. Or if they need assistance at the incident, let's say sometimes we need, it gets real hot in the desert, right? So sometimes they need some assistance with cool down, or the firefighters need some rehab, so we'll get them some sunline buses or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and do all of that as a radio dispatcher. We're going to also maintain status of equipment up and down the county, okay? All the way from San Diego County to Blythe, okay? With that, we're going to make sure that we have a certain amount of stations or equipment in each battalion. We're going to make sure we have enough resources in each battalion to handle any new emergencies on top of what we already have. Whether that's just using our own resources within the county, or sometimes we'll go to another agency or another county and get some other resources to utilize to be able to help us maintain those controls. We also work with our allied agencies. We are integrated, but we're also we wear a lot of different hats, right? So we're an OES hat. So with the OES hat, we can go to other cities, Palm Springs City, Cat City. We can go to other agencies and help and give them resources to help with incidents, but also they can help us with incidents. So we like to work well with them, right? Even if it's the sheriff's department or police departments, we're going to be able to talk to them and be able to get any resources we need for any kind of incident. And that's kind of what the radio dispatchers do. So call taking, to be a call taker in the command center, that's pretty much the first spot. So it's an FCD1, a dispatcher 1 in the command center. You have to go through 10 weeks of classroom training, okay? In those 10 weeks of classroom training, we're going to put you through everything. We're going to put you through orientation of the department. We're going to teach you what a fire engine is versus what a truck is, because a lot of people just don't understand. They see a fire engine and they think, look at the truck, but it's not really a truck. So we teach them the differences. Or a squad versus a medic squad, and what does it mean to have a medic squad? We teach them all of that in the first week. After that, we're going to teach them the 911 systems, right? We're a primary PSAP. Actually, I'm sorry, we're a secondary PSAP. That means that we're not the first person when you call 911. When you call 911, you're automatically going to go to a primary PSAP, which is typically a law enforcement agency. So DHS PD, CAP PD, RSO, and they transfer it to the fire department, right? We're a secondary PSAP, so then we receive all those emergencies. So we'll go through the systems and how that actually works. What happens when you dial 911, right? Then we send them to EMD and EFD. That is to learn how to do card sets and to teach you how to triage a medical aid over the phone, right? And we actually have we have IAED personnel come in and teach those classes. All the other classes we teach in-house. Then we teach them how to do the CAD system, and the CAD system is actually what takes the longest because it's the hands-on portion. And you have to memorize plethora of information, all these different commands to be able to maneuver and manipulate the system to do what you want it to do. It's computer-aided dispatch, so we have to kind of tell the computer what to do, not vice versa. After we go through the classroom for that, though, then they're going to go hands-on. That means they're on the floor with a certified training officer and actually answering those phone calls, answering emergency lines and non-emergency lines. They do that for 8 weeks. At that 8-week point, one of us or another senior in the office will sit with them and actually go through a whole day of answering phones to see if they're qualified to be by themselves or not. And then we make those decisions if it's good for them or they need more training or it's just not the right position. We'll make those decisions after those 8 weeks. So technically at that 18-week mark, they're either going to be by themselves or we'll find another position for them somewhere else. Tell them this isn't for them. After that, though, we'll go into the radio classroom. Michelle will talk about radio a little bit.
So once they get signed off as call takers, they do call take for a little while, so they really master and they're great call takers. And then we move them to radio training. So they're basically pulled back in the classroom for 5 weeks. That classroom training is they learn about the radio system. We have several radio towers throughout the county that assist us with communication on incidents. So they have to learn about all the different repeater sites on these radio towers, because if they're not on the right one, they won't be able to communicate with resources in that geographical area. So they have to learn over 22 different locations of repeaters to help them with communications with resources on emergency incidents. Okay, they learn how to initial attack. We have a lot of agreements, a lot of auto aid and mutual aid agreements throughout the county that assist us with getting resources from other local cooperators to help us complete our mission at the end of the day. And so they have to learn about initial attack, where they learn about all these auto aid and mutual aid agreements. They learn about how to actually voice out a dispatch to emergency vehicles in order to go to the incident. Okay, and then they learn about command dispatching, and a lot of these people that come in and they don't understand the lingo with the fire department, so they have to learn this new way of speaking, clear text, quick, brief, to the point. And so they basically, as a command dispatch, they learn how to support an incident. So when a unit goes on scene of an incident, say they go on scene of the fire and they need additional resources, they're the ones that are going to take that report from the on-scene resource and get them those additional resources to the incident. And basically the command dispatcher communicates with initial TAC to get those resources filled. Okay, they do have to learn how to move up and cover. It's kind of like a big puzzle, right? We got all these resources in the county, but just because one city has a fire, we don't want them to have no coverage. So we share the wealth, and that's where it makes us integrated. We try to spread the wealth so every city has sufficient coverage to meet the emergency response criteria. Okay. They also, because we do wear 3 different hats in our center, we are contracted with CAL FIRE, so we do have our state mission where during fire season, the summer months, we get a lot of wildland fires where they can be large-scale vegetation fires like we had at the Fairview earlier this year. Okay, so they learn wildland dispatching, and it's a different way. Report on scene of a structure fire is very different from a report of a vegetation fire. A structure fire, we deal with those day in and day out. Wildland fires don't happen in California every day, so they have to learn the different lingo of how they advise the reporting conditions and, knowing what they need to do to help them get the right resources. They learn a program, it's a national program called Interagency Resource Ordering Capability. It's basically a national program, and that's how we track resources on a large-scale incident. It's also how we get out-of-state resources to our incidents when the state of California is at a drawdown for emergency vehicles and that. You know, sometimes we've had to bring engines from New Mexico and Utah, and this program allows them that capacity to get those. So after they go through all this classroom training, and it's really strenuous, people actually compare our training program to the master's program, but a lot quicker. So we've had people come in with masters, they're like, you know what, I went and got my master's, but I'll tell you, this was so much more intense because it's so quick. There's so much information they have to learn in that time frame they're in there with us. So once they complete that classroom time, they come on the floor, and with radio, they're actually on the floor for 10 weeks. Because this is basically how they're going to finish out their training. They're assigned to a certified training officer for 10 weeks. And at the 10-week mark, someone sits with them and sees if they are at that point where they can function on their own as a command dispatcher radio operator. So we do emergency medical dispatching and emergency fire dispatching, okay? All of our dispatchers in the Emergency Command Center are certified through the International Academy of Emergency Dispatching. We refer to them as IAED, okay? But what this certificate does for us, you know, we both started over 19 years ago, and when someone used to call and their loved one wasn't breathing, they weren't awake, there was nothing that protected us to help give them life-saving measures. We basically took their information and we hung up.
Or if we did CPR on somebody, right? Because I did CPR all the time, but I wasn't trained to do it on the phone. I took the CPR classes because I wanted to, but I wasn't trained to do it on the phone, where this program actually helps us to, we can do it on the phone, and now we're covered as long as we're following policy for that, right? Before, we weren't covered. If we did it on our own, and if something happened, then people can say, you know what, you didn't do it right. Granted, I probably didn't do it right back then, and now we have this program to be able to help us and get us through those hard phone calls, because they are hard, right? They're hard for everybody. They're hard for the caller, but they're also hard on us. They're also hard for the responders. So now we have a script that we can help other people get through something that is so hard for us and for them.
So this certification basically provides a standardization in call taking. Interrogation allows the dispatcher to give life-saving instructions. So now we have become that first responder because we are putting hands on the chest before help arrives. Okay? So some things that we can give through emergency medical dispatching, we can provide CPR instructions. Okay? We do childbirth. Control bleeding. So if they have severe bleeding, we tell the caller how to control the bleeding. Any scene safety stuff. So, you know, sometimes overdoses, hitting those scene safety to ensure not just patient care, but the bystanders. We got to ensure that they're not in a dangerous situation neither. You guys have probably seen the state of California has a lot of wildland fires. There's actually instructions that will tell them how to escape a life-threatening fire, whether they are trapped in a building or they are trapped by a wildland fire. It gives us the ability to read the instructions and put them in a safe situation.
It also helps us to give the responding units better information from a caller and give them better information so they know what they're going to versus what we used to do before is just take a 30-second phone call, get off the phone, right? What Michelle has in front of us, is she's going to go over it a little bit, is a couple instructions. We wanted you to see what the card sets look like.
So this is all computerized. In the event it does go down, like she talks about, there are actually hard card sets that they learn from, but we all have it. It is functionalized with our CAD system, so they talk back and forth. So this here is an actual CPR call, okay? So, and the thing is, we read it per script because it really, reading per script, repetitiveness, it keeps them constant, the person, you know, even when they're stressed out, I mean, it's their loved one in front of them, so we have to be stern, read it by script to get them to give them life-saving measures. So our example here, listen carefully, and I'll let you do, did I read that wrong?
Yes.
Sorry, my glasses are not on. Listen carefully and I'll tell you how to do chest compressions, okay? Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone on the center of the chest right between the nipples. Put your other hand on top of that hand. And then we're gonna go into compressions, okay? So we're gonna tell them, pump the chest hard and fast at least twice per second, 2 inches deep. If there's 2 rescuers, we can give the instructions for the 2 rescuers. And then that little like heartbeat you see, that is actually the compression monitor that comes up that we actually count with them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we sit there and we encourage them and we push them through and we count with them to ensure they're giving effective CPR instructions. Here's an example of someone trapped in a building. We've had to do this when someone was trapped inside a building. Okay, make sure you have closed doors behind you and the flame. Make sure you have closed door between you and the flames or smoke. Stay low to the floor. So, and the good thing, these questions, and it kind of reminds us too, exactly where are you located? They answer us. We document this in our CAD system.
And relay it to the responding units over the radio.
And then how many people are with you? We document in our CAD system. But the nice thing is right there in front of us, it puts it in blue. Blue is for the call taker to recognize, notify the IC of the location of our occupants. It's reminding us to give that information to the field. Okay? And then if you have access to a bathtub or sink, fill it with water to soak towels and cloths. The water can also be used to put out small fires. Cover the cracks in the doors with wet clothes, towels, cloths, drapes, or anything else that is readily available. Cover the air vents if needed. Do not break any windows. If air is needed, open the window just enough to breathe. If you can open a window slightly, hang a sheet or a blanket out the window to help the firefighters find you. So it continues with them as you're going through it. So make sure you make yourself known to the firefighters when they arrive. Wave, call out to them, yell for help, and then ask more questions that we will give to the responding units to help them. And sometimes it's the fact of letting responding units know where they are in a structure so they can immediately go in and rescue them. So those are just some examples of what we do through emergency dispatching. So with us so we have actually been doing emergency medical dispatching since 2012. We actually went to tier dispatching back in 2017. And so this program has allowed us to do that. So Riverside County Fire uses the priority dispatch system to determine if responses are needed code 2 or code 3, okay, based on a series of questions and answers provided by the caller. So code 2, that's emergency vehicle, responds in a silent but swift response, so no lights and sirens. And then you have your code 3 response. That's when emergency vehicle responds urgently using lights and sirens. So this is basically, we show this to our new hires when we sit in the info session because we really want them to know what they're doing because there is heavily amount of multitasking. There are times where we are taking 911 calls and we have radio traffic at the same time. But this is going to just give you a glimpse of what we deal with on a daily basis.
So real quick before he starts it, I want to give you guys a little bit, I know we confused the last people that saw this video, so I want to tell you what it is real quick. This is Liz. She was my trainee actually in the command center. She's now a senior in the command center. She's taking a CPR call for a drowning. She's taking a drowning call. At the same time though, she's receiving the radio traffic for a structure fire. So she's doing the multitasking that we're doing every day, and we kind of wanted to show that in this video, that it's not just we're only dispatching on the phone. It's not we're only talking on the radio. A lot of people think just dispatchers don't do anything. We just sit around and eat bonbons. That's not what we do, and this is kind of the video that we wanted to show you guys, that we're a full service agency and the multitasking is extreme, so we wanted to bring that to you guys and try and bring it to life for you.
Talk to them, okay? Yeah. I want you to talk to the fire department. Oh, yes, we'll disconnect. You're welcome. Oh.
Fire department, what's the address of the emergency?
Help me, my son, he's in the water.
Ma'am, we're gonna send help. What's the address of the emergency?
25361 Mountain Spring Street. Hurry!
And what's the closest cross street?
Ridgemore.
What city?
Menifee.
Is this a house or an apartment?
It's a house, hurry!
Okay, ma'am, tell me exactly what happened.
Wait, we couldn't find my son. He's in the
Okay,
pool.
I'm sending paramedics to help you. Stay on the line. Do not go in the water unless it's safe to do so.
My husband got him
Are
out.
you with the patient right now?
Yes, help me!
How old is the patient?
He's only 3.
Is he awake?
No.
Is he breathing?
No, he's
Okay,
not.
I'm sending paramedics to help you. I need you to stay on the line. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do next. Are you right by him now?
Yes.
Okay, listen carefully. Lay him flat on his back on the ground. Remove any pillows.
He's on the
Can you
ground
next to
already.
him look in his mouth for any food or vomit? Is there anything in his mouth?
I don't see anything.
Okay, you need to place your hand on his forehead, your other hand under his neck, and then tilt his head back. Put your ear next to his mouth. Can you feel or hear any breathing?
No.
I'm going to tell you how to give mouth to mouth. Pinch his nose closed and completely cover his mouth with your mouth. You're going to blow 2 regular breaths into his lungs, about 1 second each. Just enough to make the chest rise with each breath.
Okay,
Battalion
okay.
3111, all units responding to the structure fire on A Street. Multiple reports, AMR's been started for a possible party trapped. Listen carefully, I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Make sure he's flat on his back on the ground.
Engine 3176.
Engine 3176, Paris. Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of the chest, right between the nipples. Push down about 2 inches deep. Pump the chest hard and fast 30 times, at least twice per second. Let the chest come all the way up between pumps. Tell me when you're done.
Yes, I'm doing
Paris
it.
copies rescue mode and request for 2 additional engines and a breathing support. Okay, start counting out loud with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep going. Do you understand me so far?
Yes, I understand it.
With your hand under his neck, you're going to pinch the nose closed. Carefully tilt the head back again. Give 2 more regular breaths, then pump the chest 30 more times. Make sure the heel of your hand is on the breastbone in the center of the chest, right between the nipples. Do you understand me?
Yes, I understand it.
Battalion 3111 on scene, assuming A Street IC. I have a single-story, single-family residence with heavy smoke and fire through the roof. 1 party unaccounted for. Engine 3176 is assumed rescue mode.
Battalion 3111, Paris copies assuming the A Street IC.
Paris, A Street IC, request RSO, Edison, and the gas company.
Alexis, can you start RSO and the utilities for the A Street incident?
Paris, A Street IC.
A Street IC, Paris. From now on, you're going to give 2 breaths, then 30 pumps. 2 breaths, then 30 pumps.
I hear the siren.
Okay, keep going until help can take over. Tell me when they're right there with you, or if anything changes, tell me immediately.
They're coming, I see
Paris, A
them.
Street IC, search is complete. All parties are accounted for, and we do have 1 civilian smoke inhalation patient being transported to RUHS. Also, request Red Cross for 2 adults and 5 children displaced.
A Street IC, Paris copies 1 smoke inhalation to RUHS and the request for Red Cross. Ma'am, don't stop CPR until paramedics take over.
They're here taking over. Please, please, Lord, help my...
Okay, ma'am, I'm gonna let you go now. The firefighters can take over. A Street IC, Paris, gas company ETA 45 minutes or less. Edison with callback with the ETA, and we're working on Red Cross.
Paris, A Street IC, copy.
Fire department, what's the address of the emergency?
Yes, we'll disconnect. You're welcome.
That's why a lot of people ask us a lot of questions about why our training program is so long. So they're on probation for 18 months, and the reason they're on probation for that 18 months is because we want them to be at that level by the time we get off probation, so they can do all of this. The multitasking doesn't come easy. It takes a lot of training, and all of this comes into it. We just wanted to bring it to you guys and show you guys kind of what we do.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. What education do you require to even,
We don't require
Okay.
education currently. It's on-the-job training.
also, what languages can you speak?
So currently we have some Spanish bilingual dispatchers. We don't have any other languages currently in the command center, but we do use a translation line. So if you call in and we don't have that language, we do have a translation line. It doesn't take any time to get them on the phone with us. It's not even, there's no delay. Most callers don't even know what's happening. Then we
that's
can,
good.
any language you want.
Well, and then I don't know how this could be possible, but you may have a deaf person.
We actually do have,
TTY, we have the TTY, but a lot of them actually use the video chat now, where they're talking to someone over a video, and that person's relaying the information to us.
You're signing then?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, that's wonderful.
There are a lot of great tools out there now.
Oh, great. I'm extremely impressed.
thank you.
And I thought I was a multitasker, but I couldn't even come close to what you're doing.
I thought I was too before the job.
Yeah.
I was educated.
And I thank you. It's a wonderful situation that you have going, and you teach them well.
Thank you.
19 years, and you only look 20.
If I was only 20, I'd be super happy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee?
Yeah, just she asked most of the questions I was going to ask, but you did a very good job,
Thank you.
and I really appreciate what you do. And without you, we'd be lost. I can only talk to police, but you know,
Thank
but
you.
that's That's too much. Just like she said, I don't think I could do that. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
But without your help, the fire department would be in trouble. So you're very important.
Thank you.
And that was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Where are you located at, I mean, as far as the building?
The building is in Paris, in the city of Paris.
It's in Paris?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you do your training at, in Paris?
We do most of it in Paris, or we go to Ben Clark Training Center as well.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a very outstanding job you do.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don, did you have a follow-up?
I just had one more question. When you dial 911, I thought we get the police department.
You do.
You get the police department initially, and then they transfer it to the secondary PSAP, which we're a secondary PSAP.
Oh.
Sometimes you don't even notice that they're putting us on the phone.
Oh,
It's when
okay.
you like report fire or medical, they're gonna transfer it to us.
And we don't even know that.
Yeah.
You guys.
So it's a pretty smooth process.
Yeah, it's wonderful. You're great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ryan?
No, I'm good. I just, wow.
Yeah, I just got a couple questions. I thought it was fascinating. You said you've got 9,000 more calls this year.
Yeah.
You're on pace for, that's like 5% more.
It's a huge
Do
increase.
we know why, or? Maybe
Our
Chief,
numbers
or-
actually didn't go up that much in COVID, and now they're rising greatly after COVID's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, so over the last 10 years, the increased calls for service has roughly been somewhere between 2 and 3.5%. The higher call volume associated with this year so far has been, I think, probably mostly related to increased population. The cities are just growing
Yeah,
so
that's
so
what I was
fast.
wondering. Does it correlate to the population increase in the county?
Yeah,
So-
I don't think we have a complete study because we're still in the last month of the year, but usually we try to have a percentage of calls of maybe the reason why. We do a little bit of studying on that. I'll report that when I have that info.
Okay. And then, the other question I was going to ask is, I mean, I did dispatch for police for a while, and yeah, there's a reason I don't have any hair left. But, and that was back in the 80s, but, I mean, it almost seems to me like that's just asking too much. I mean, that's just, you're putting, is there not a way for that dispatcher to separate out those two and say, hey, time out, I've got a baby not breathing, but I've also got, I've got 3 fire units out on a dangerous call. They're making an entry to find somebody they can't find. Do you have like a system where like she can kick one and say, hey, you got, can you run this and take this matter for me, or?
Yeah, they can actually ask, because there's other radio dispatchers on the floor and that, so
Right.
they can actually ask if they know they're on a difficult 911 call, they can ask their partner, hey, they're going on scene with a report, can you grab my frequencies?
Okay.
So, something too, we are building our numbers that we will one day be able to separate our call takers on a radio cell. We won't have that complexity of the multitasking. Our numbers have definitely gone up in the last couple of years, but we're still working on that.
Yeah, I just, hats off to those people who work there, because like I couldn't do it, but yeah, I mean, that's as a former administrator, that's what I'd be looking at, is how do I change that workload and make my people more effective? So
Something that helps too is Michelle and I came from it, right? And now we're supervisors in the office. We can step in and take over those phone calls or those radios as needed too. So all the different components. We have call takers that are dedicated call takers. We have the radio people that can do both. And then if it's not super busy, like this day would have been a super busy day where she just is going to do it all, right? But not every day's like that. Not
Yeah.
every call's like that. Most times there is somebody next to you that will take over one or the other.
okay, that's awesome. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Don, did you have a follow-up?
I have a follow-up. Real quick.
Yeah,
So, my question is, command center, being like in Paris, I mean, that's like over the hills, I mean, with the radio towers, I would think there would be something even closer like for the Coachella Valley, or is there? How many command centers are actually stationed, or is that the main? I don't know.
But we have one main command center, and we
For-
work on a VHF radio system, so it's able to expand further. Like we use a microwave system to actually get all the way out to the desert, because we actually dispatch units all the way to Arizona state line,
Oh, wow.
and our
Yeah, 'cause
communications are clear. We're really spoiled with the coverage we have.
I was gonna say, yeah, because
Yeah.
I was like, so you really don't need another command center right out in Coachella. Wow, and how many people right now?
We currently have 38 full-time dispatchers, 9 in training, but we are funded for 56.
And the funding does come from the county or Riverside State? What was my other question?
So the funding does come from the county. However, all the cities that are part of the county fire department, including Desert Hot Springs, does contribute a fund towards covering
I was going to
those.
say,
Yeah.
some of the funds.
Yeah, it's built into the contract, right?
It is.
Wow, that's all that? Wow. Thank you.
Donna, do you have another follow-up?
Yeah. When she was talking, helping the mother with the child, how did the other call come in? How many calls can she take in there?
So one was actually a 911 call. So we actually have headsets. They wear a headset on one ear and they have
Right.
the other one open to hear other things going on the floor. So she was actually on a 911 that came over on our phone system, but the other traffic you were hearing was actually coming over her radio. Through
Oh,
basically, so when we're on the phone with a 911 caller, we hear the caller in our ear. But our radio traffic, we actually hear it from a speaker in front of us.
oh,
So the
okay.
command center has up to 9 people, maybe more, maybe less, depending on the time of day working at the same time. She's not the only one answering the 911s at that time. Somebody else took the 911 with the structure fire.
Right.
So then she
right.
gets to do the radio for the 911 with the structure fire, which is why she would be so busy and taking that 911 at the same time.
How many hours, what is a shift?
We do basically 12-hour shifts, and they do a 3 on one week and 4 on the next week.
Oh,
We have
okay.
4 different shifts a day.
Free lunch?
We do get paid for our lunch, can't complain.
Good, good.
Oh, no, trust me, I've never been to a fire command center that didn't have good food, so.
See, it's important. Keep us happy.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Anything else? No, thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, and I know the last time I had to call them, they did a great job on getting them up there to the house, so that's why I still have a hard line. Chief, can you chew Chief's out? Is 911 on a cell phone still going to CHP and then, or have they figured a way to route that to where it's supposed to go? Or maybe you know, ladies.
So, the cell sites have improved drastically since we were all young people, right? We actually have.
You're
phase
still
2.
young.
I'm older than you would think. Apparently, the job has done not so bad on me.
25.
Thank you. So with phase 2 wireless, we really, when someone calls in on their cell phone, it literally pinpoints them within meters of where they're at. We also have other tools called rapid deploy that basically when a call comes in on our phone system, it plots it on the rapid deploy. And the rapid deploy will literally show us if they're a moving patient, we'll actually see where they've moved to the point where it actually pinpoints them in the building or where they're located. So technology has definitely grown in the years.
So your recommendation on not calling 911 from a hard line or from your cell?
So a
Or is there a pro, there's probably a pro and con to both,
I personally have not gotten rid of my
right?
hard line.
Hard line, yeah,
So a hard line's going to give you your exact address, right?
right.
Where we do have within meters of a 911, but it's not always the exact address. Sometimes it's within 3 different houses.
Oh,
Or
okay.
a couple different residents, right? So we'll still ask the questions. We still want you to verify your address
Mm-hmm.
and your cross street because we want to be able to better pinpoint the location and send them to the right place off the bat. So yes, you can call from a cell phone and it works and it's amazing. But we're still going to ask those questions because those meters sometimes are not always perfect. That's why it is better from a landline. If you have that, not everybody has that anymore. Most people call from a cell phone.
But cell phones used to go all to CHP. Now cell phone callers are going to that primary PSAP. So like
Okay.
in the cities, those primary PSAPs of law enforcement are receiving those calls where CHP is getting more of the incidents on the interstates and highways.
That's good to know. Thank you. That's good. I was wondering about that, so, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Okay. I don't know.
$12 a month.
It's about $12 a month, yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah. I don't even answer it. I just have it there to call 911 if I need it.
Just give my home number and I don't answer it. The answer machine.
All right, let's go into new business item number 2, the police staffing report. This is something we've been waiting for, so I'm kind of interested to see how it's going to go.
Shy.
So. And we have Commander Chang with us tonight.
Commander change.
Good evening, Commission. here to present the staffing levels for the police department or proposal. Current staffing for the police department is, we're budgeted for 33 officers and 3 CSOs. Our current staffing, as of now, today's date, is 26 officers and 3 CSOs. The breakdown of the staffing within the police department currently is 1 chief, deputy chief, 2 commanders, 4 sergeants, 4 patrol sergeants, 12 patrol officers, 1 school resource officer, 1 detective sergeant, 2 detectives, and 2 officers detectives assigned to a task force, which is the PAC team and Coachella Valley Narcotics Task Force. Priorities right now with the police department is recruitment. The city council recently approved a recruiting firm with Epic Recruitment, which is a consulting firm. We have not yet met with the recruiting firm, but we're going to utilize social media to try to do recruitment. Also, some discussions has been, we're just going to start looking, instead of at academy graduates and lateral officers, sending trainees through the academy. So we're looking at entry-level positions. So we're going to try to establish a testing process for that to select people within the community to send them through the police academy. And also, we're looking at even maybe sending our community service officers, which worked out for Officer Bailey, to send them through the police academy. And also, before we talked with Commissioner Meyer about recruiting from COD to have people go through different modules. Right now, the recruiting is a national problem for law enforcement. A lot of agencies within the Coachella Valley are having a tough time recruiting. So that's why they're looking at sending officers through the academy instead of looking at academy graduates and laterals. We got to think outside the box to see what different options we can do, such as sending our CSOs or just looking at modular academies and try to sponsor somebody through that. But first, we got to get back up to full staffing right now from 26 to 33. Okay, for fully staffed, this is what the breakdown would be with 1 chief, a deputy chief, 2 commanders, 4 patrol sergeants. Will be 17 patrol officers, up from the 12 if we did have full staff at 33, 1 school resource officer, a detective sergeant, 3 detectives, so it'll be 1 additional detective, and then another additional detective on another task force, which can be the gang task force or gang impact team. Looking ahead right now, the city is growing commercially and residentially. We're looking at a 5 to 10 year plan for the police department, and recruiting is one of something we're going to focus on to get up to our full staff at 33. Right now, the priority is patrol, and that's where officers are assigned. And once we fill patrol, then we're going to look at different assignments to try to do it internal, maybe traffic division or a special enforcement team, or add additional officers or detectives. With the growth of the city, this will help us try to fund for new officers. So we're projecting, if we do have 5 additional officers, this is a staffing allocation, will be the 1 chief, a deputy chief, 2 commanders, 4 patrol sergeants, 17 patrol officers, school resource officer, detective sergeant, 3 detectives, 3 on the task force, and we're looking, if we have 5 officers, in addition, we can either start a traffic division with 1 sergeant, 4 officers, or a special enforcement team that could address quality of life issues such as homelessness, gangs, a variety of different issues. The fiscal impact of hiring an additional officer will cost around $4,775 per hiring an officer. So the breakdown on that is about $1,025 for a background, $900 for a medical, $350 for a psychological test, $300 about for a polygraph, and uniforms and equipment will cost around $2,200, which is a cost per officer is about $4,775. If we're looking at 5 officers, it comes up to $23,875. That's not including salaries, that's just the hiring cost. So a salary per officer would be $168,016. So for 5 officers, it would be $840,080. In addition to each officer, we also need a patrol unit. So a fully equipped patrol unit with emergency equipment, vehicle, radio system will be around $80,000 per vehicle. So looking at hiring, if we did hire 5 officers, it would be times 5, so about $400,000 just in equipment costs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So is there like a final number? So basically, what you would like to see, the proposal you would like to see is going to be 5 officers and the supporting equipment.
That's what we're looking at right now, is just to get it back up to 33, and then we're looking at 5 if we do have 5, just to start off for the internal. This way we can start either a traffic unit or a set team.
Okay. All right. You guys got questions?
Yeah,
Who
I
wants to
do.
go first? Donna?
I'll go.
Ladies first.
We're expanding the department. Is that still happening?
Yes, with the construction right now, our front records area, report writing, and watch commander office has been remodeled. It should be up and running by the end of the month. Also, dispatch is in-house, but we haven't, the dispatchers aren't in our center yet. So we're still looking at expansion, building the annex next door. So we're still looking to expand the police department.
So have we ever had a full staff? You know, like you're saying, we can have how many officers? 36 officers or something? Have we ever had that completely filled?
33 for a brief time.
33, yeah.
Yeah, for a brief time, maybe less than a couple months. And then we had lateral movement where some officers left the department.
Are we giving them more money?
Our officers,
Yes,
for officers leaving or currently?
currently.
We were compensated within the average with Coachella Valley right now. But some officers are leaving for, like one officer left out of state for his family.
Oh.
The other officer left for other reasons. And then we're losing officers, either medical or they're just not meeting probation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Couple of questions, Commander. Briefly, so 5 would be ideal, or 12 would be ideal, and 5 would be a necessity, because my whole thing coming on board really was the Public Safety Commission was, you know, as my other commissioners here or there is really try to get as many officers as we need, because, I mean, we have public, we have councilmen, we have just people generally in the city that are asking, you know, why don't we have enough people down, you know, going up and down the street? Why don't, you know, I get a hit and run car in the parking lot? We just don't have the coverage for this type of, you know, type of things. And I'm like, well, that's our whole idea, is to find out what we could budget it. But again, is 5, you know, the number we could really push for the city council, or is there even an ideal number? I mean, 12. I mean, what is the magic number?
That was an example that we used, was the 5 to add up to 38. So that's what we could do with 5 more officers. There's no ideal number, because right now we're still trying to get up to full staff is 33. So that's what the deputy chief used as an example, is 5 officers.
Now, what about additional staff, non-sworn, like some of the other cities I've heard are doing? I mean, more personnel? Does the police department need more personnel? Like I said, we hired 3 CSOs, and I think we've got some great CSOs, and it'd be great, but is there any other positions that a police could acquire for a non-sworn position that would help the community?
I mean, I would have to look into, I would say record staff maybe. I think with 3 CSOs, that's sufficient for now.
Yeah, and then what about starting up the reserve program?
And that's something we can look into also.
Because I'm just trying to get the bodies is the main thing. That's been my pet peeve, to get the bodies for everybody. And we all know, you know, changes happen in life and people move on, and promotions and everything like that. So, all right, that's all I had, Commander.
I know you mentioned the reserve officers, but I think now a reserve officer actually has the same training as a regular officer.
Yes.
So why would a reserve officer go through that and stay a reserve? So, I mean, it's a nice idea, but the trouble is you wouldn't never keep them long enough.
Yeah.
You'd train them and they'd be gone. Either you'd hire them or they'd go somewhere else. I mean, that's the problem with the reserve program. I understand that. Way back when they didn't train them that much, you kept your reserve officers, but you can't keep them anymore. But I think it's a great idea, but if you could get 35 officers, I'd be tickled to death.
So,
How's that? I mean, that's a good number. If we could use 20, but, you know, I understand that 35, we can hardly keep our 33.
Yeah.
And I know you have people out sick or injury, or they quit and they go somewhere else, up to another job, or one thing or another. So if you could get this thing to the 35, I think we should be tickled to death with that, because that's going to help. And having said that, How about our motorcycle, our motor people? Are we working on that? Is that going to get any better? Are we getting out there or what?
Right now, just because the staffing was more focused on patrol, but as of next shift rotation, we are going to have a traffic officer. So he'll be in a vehicle for now. We still got to train him to go through motorcycle training.
Yeah, I
So
just
with the
don't
next
see
few
the
months,
motors
that's
out
what-
there.
yeah, that's
Wondering
what
when
we're
we're going to
looking
start getting them out there.
So I mean, hopefully with the next few months, we should get him through training and then he should be out in the street.
Because back to the same thing, at Palm Drive is a disaster.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, because I know that's your job.
Yeah.
And you know that. And it's just, we really need to work on that, the traffic problems in the town. You have other problems, lots of them, but traffic is right there because everybody sees it and they know it.
Yeah.
So that's something that's just out in front. I mean, we have robberies and we have other things, but people don't seem to, but that traffic, they just seem to dwell on it. And they ask about it. And the answer is, we're working on it, you know. So that's the same answer I got. So let's just keep working on it.
Yeah, as of right now, we have a Office of Traffic Safety traffic grant. So actually tonight, there is an officer going out there doing traffic enforcement on Palm Drive. So
Yeah.
that's what's supplementing, instead of having a full-time traffic officer right now, we're using the grant to have officers go out in the field and go traffic.
Well, this is a tough time right now, Commander, because I just drove up Palm, heading up, and the traffic right now is, I just can't imagine a couple of weeks from now what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Anyway, you guys are doing a great job, and our communication is just coming along, and I tell you, that's going to be a great thing for us. I mean, I know the officers will appreciate it once they get done busy and we get our own dispatchers. I mean, there was a good example. I mean, those people, whew, I have great respect for dispatchers, and they're important to have. And we have our own. It's going to be really nice. Okay, thanks, Commander.
No problem.
That's all.
Okay, so I'm a numbers guy. I'm also a philosophy guy. And I've worked here. We're an island. And staying stagnant means stagnant. To be successful in Desert Hot Springs, you have to be proactive. So let me ask you this. Under the 33 officer number we have right now, we're supposed to have 17 assigned to patrol,
Yes.
correct? And that would give us, can we talk shift numbers? Can we talk that? Are you
Yeah.
okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so how many per shift are we rolling out?
Currently,
Yeah.
we're two officers and a sergeant.
Okay, so in 1986, for 20 hours out of the day, we had 2 officers and a sergeant, and there was about 4 to 6 hours where there was no sergeant. So we're still at 1986 levels. And I mean, I'm not complaining. You guys do a great job. It's just like getting the medic unit, right? It's not about complaining. It's about making sure you guys have what you need to get your job done. And I mean, I look at that, and the city's probably added 30%, 40% population, and people generate calls, not buildings. And so my thought process is on this, I mean, if I'm looking at this from the perspective of the command staff, I need at least a 33% increase in patrol. I mean, I need 3 and 1. So I mean, that's where I start, is adding 30% to patrol. 30% of 17 is, come on, you're the numbers guy. What's 30% of 17? 1/3 of 17. What is it, 7? No, it's 6. 6, okay. So we're talking, I mean, we're talking,
That one's 6.
yeah, I do millions of numbers, right?
Yeah, I do the little ones.
So we're talking, I'm thinking like 6 for patrol, and then the 5-man team is a beautiful thing, because if you use them properly and you train them properly, if you got a traffic problem on Palm, put all 5 on Palm, and let them work it for 2, 3, 4 weeks until you get your problem under control. And if you got like the arson problem the other night, put them on the arson problem. And then if you got a burglary problem, you put them on the burglary problem, or a 10851 problem, you drop them there. I mean, I'm thinking realistically, your thought process request should, I'm looking at 11. Now, I know people will drop their teeth and go, that's 1/3 of the department's budget, but I mean, so we're roughly talking, we need an increase of about 2.5 million for 11 more people, right? Yeah, see, that worked out pretty good, yeah. So, yeah, because I'm looking,
Perfect world.
what's that?
In a perfect world, perfect city.
Well,
Numbers.
Yeah, and I understand that, and maybe, and the city council, you know,
They need to look at all the resources, they really do. I mean,
Yeah.
what are we, I mean, if we're not doing the infrastructure there,
Yeah.
the infrastructure's not gonna come unless you have the support, which is staff. And I've heard plenty of companies saying, we're not coming unless we have
Yeah.
you have the support.
yeah, the goal of this conversation is not to back city council or
No,
anybody
not
into
at
a
all.
corner
No,
to
but
say
we
you have to
need-
spend this money, but the goal is to, I would like to see us set a goal, you know, like many years ago, we set a goal to get more service for the fire department, and we finally achieved, it took us forever, but we finally achieved it. And this would be our goal, this what I say would be our commission goal now, would be to establish a number and say, look, this is, you know, we can't get there this year, we get it. I mean, we couldn't, even if we had 11 more positions open, we couldn't get it, and I get it. Trust me, I'm on the front end of the supply line, right? But, you know, the goal of having this conversation and establishing a number is to say, look, you know, in like 3 or 4 years, you know, we're probably going to hit we're already in a recession. We're probably going to hit a worse recession here pretty soon. But what we all know is when we bounce out of a recession, usually things do really, really well. And city governments do really, really well. And that's when funding comes in, and that's when you have to strike and build up your resources. I would kind of like to see if maybe you could take those numbers back to the chief and deputy chief and those concepts and see if maybe we could get a hard number for what that would be. And then if, you know, based upon that number, then we could rediscuss it. And then if you guys are agreeable to that, then we could make a recommendation that the council review that proposal for future
What number are you
consideration.
talking about?
I'm talking a number of 11 more officers and then what that's going to cost. I mean, you know, you said 160,000 per year, right?
Yeah.
That's for 5.
Yeah. Well, no, 160,000, it's 160,000 per person to
Per
pay
officer.
pay and benefits.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, I have a calculator, right?
Use your calculator.
Yeah. So it comes to 1.76 million. I will tell you, I mean, that's still a lot of money for us,
I
but,
can write you a check. Call it a day.
well, yeah, you know, you still owe me for dinner
Oh,
the
I
other
know.
night too, I think, right? But the deal is, I mean, you know, for 1.76 million, we decrease our response time for patrol, we increase the ability to support our brothers and sisters in the fire department, we go proactive instead of reactive. And I know I harken back, but in 1988, you know, when they promoted me to sergeant and they gave me a 2-man special team, and within 4 months, our burglary rate dropped in half, and we were trying to buy dope all over town, and we couldn't even buy dope in town anymore. We had to go out of town to do our dope deals because people they go, no, we're not going to DHS and sell dope. They got some crazy guys up there who are hooking everybody up. You know, we went proactive. Of course, we ran out of money. Okay, so that's always the big consideration that the city, obviously, and city council has.
Yeah, but I mean, when we talk about public safety and, you know, cities and stuff like that, is there, I don't know if I'm naive or anything, is there no grants out there for, you know, like cities or stuff in California for, you know, additional stuff like that? I mean, like Fire County, or it's just pretty much up to the city to come up with however they can come up with?
You know, the problem with grants is they've got those federal grants still, right, Commander?
The which one?
The federal
Yeah,
ones where they
yeah,
start you out at
the
100, and after
The-
4 years, you're down to 0, and then
Yeah,
you're
I
stuck
believe the
holding.
COP grants.
Then you got to pick up the money.
Yeah, and that's why Coachella lost their police department.
Oh, okay,
They doubled
okay.
the size, basically doubled the size of their department with that, and then when the money ran out, they didn't have anything left.
They didn't have no money left.
They couldn't even have money to pay for their people, but I mean, I know this is not gonna happen now, or probably within the next 2, 3, 4 years, but I would love to give the city council a projected thing, that this is where we want to be, this is where we should, not where we want to be, this is where we should be.
Because you're saying
Should be.
30%, yeah, we are
Yeah.
not growing, like you said, if you were here 6, which you were as a police department, 6, well, we should be growing, we've definitely grown, I mean,
But if you told me that when I graduated the academy in May of 9th of 1986, and then I started working patrol here, I think May 13th, okay? They gave me a couple days off to recover. And I started working patrol May 13th, 1986, and if I'm sitting here in December of 2022, and we're still at 2 and a sergeant.
That's my point.
I almost want to ask is maybe, I mean, right now you haven't got how many on IOD?
I think it's one officer right
One.
now.
I mean, but every report we get every month, there's a pattern of we've got 1 to 5 people out IOD. I know that a lot of IODs I would see as a commander and as a, sergeant and stuff like that were because one officer's trying to do too much. Just like those great dispatchers, I can't imagine what their mental mindset is after a shift like that, right? So the thing is how do you get officers to not put themselves in IOD situations? You give them enough resources that they don't have to try to be Superman and do it all by themselves. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from, and I hope council would understand what we're trying to do. And are we all good with that?
No, I'm totally,
Are you good with that, Lee?
I understand that, I'm just, but the reality is, we got 33 right now, and if we could get to 35, I'd be tickled to death. I said it before.
Yeah.
Now, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think in the future, we should look towards getting more officers. But this takes the money. The reality of it is getting the money.
Yeah, but if we don't identify now what it is where we want to be, what we need, or where we should be, if we don't identify that now,
We should
then
press for it. We should,
then-
yes, we should try to get that extra 11 or 12 more officers, yes.
yeah, then
I
certain
agree.
other people will just sit there and go, oh, well, we'll just get you a couple more this year. Well, what are you gonna do with a couple more? That's gonna cover your IOD. And you're still gonna be for patrol,
Right now, 12.
2 and
12,
1,
sorry.
2 and 1, 1986.
And commercially, how rich it would make the city. People will come in here and want their businesses here if they know they can have support behind them.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm for you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean,
all
I
the
do
way.
know in 1987, 1988, we did go to a thing to augment that 2 and 1. We assigned one traffic car and one canine car, and we worked them opposite ends of the week during the busiest shift, swing shift. So we literally had 3, because even though you got a dog or you're working traffic, you're still, if something bad happens, you're still an officer, right? You're still an officer, and
Well,
but I'm not. That's a stopgap. I mean, we have a good department. We have good people. We have good leadership.
we do.
The city's growing, and 1986 levels are just that to me. Not as a critique.
But
It's
really, what you're
unacceptable.
saying, yeah, the city is growing, but our safety has to grow with it.
absolutely.
What's the point of having a big giant everything you have if you can't connect the burglaries, the theft and all this? And everybody's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, we have to make a discussion because you want Station 95. We're going to order a Quint.
We are?
Well, we got to put fire people on that Quint, right?
Yeah.
No, we don't need the Queen anymore. We need officers.
Yeah. By the way, I've got 20 people in the fire academy, chief, and they're going to graduate here in about 5-6
20.
months. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
So they're going to need jobs. So
It's an AB job. I mean, it takes both.
yeah, I know,
You
and I'm just, but if we don't establish some concept of where we should be,
I'm
then
with you,
we
whatever you
never.
want.
It doesn't mean we're going to be there, but it doesn't mean they have to go there right now or in the next 3, 4, 5 years. But at least we should know where we should be, so we can start working at that goal.
I don't disagree with that, but
Yeah.
I think trying to get 5 more officers right now, I don't know if we can find 1 more officer. I mean, it's
Yeah,
It's
but
just-
you and I have been around a long time. We've seen that happen before. We've seen it happen that way, and then we've seen it change right back to where you.
yeah, I've been there, you've been there.
Yeah, 100 people fighting for one job, so.
I remember
That's the realities of it.
when my son was murdered in 2001. We only had
Well,
10 officers.
we can't hire anybody, we have to
10
hire good people,
officers,
so
come on.
that's where I'm at.
And we had grown.
Yeah, I would love to see these people get what they need, what they should have, and not have to
I
settle.
agree.
So.
Well, let's work on that. Should we make a motion to come up with some kind of,
You know what, if it's all right with you guys, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I would rather have Commander Chang be able to go back to the chief and Deputy
Okay.
Chief Shaw
Just discuss it with him.
and let them kind of sit there and go, yeah, that Meyer's crazy. But that's okay. I've been called
that's
worse.
okay.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind. So, but let them kind of beat that up a little bit amongst themselves and understand we're doing goal setting, not necessarily hard budgeting.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a bunch of officers sitting around at donut shops and
Yeah.
Starbucks all day.
Well, you know what, I very rarely see the officers out and about. I saw one today up on Mission Lakes, handling a call up on Mission Lakes.
The donut shops
And
are
it's,
closed. Anyway.
you know, but it's one of those things that if I'm not seeing them, it's because they're busy,
Exactly.
you know, and they're busy doing something somewhere where I'm not seeing them, and that's not a positive thing, in my opinion. So,
They're always busy.
yeah, so would that work for the rest of you?
Yes, that'll be good.
And I hope Ken's listening, and I hope, it would have been interesting to hear what Ken said.
I,
Put you under the gun.
Thank you, Commander.
All right. Commander, you got any questions from us,
Yeah.
sir? No? Okay, all right, all right. Thank you for that discussion, I appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to administrative reports. Item number 3, Animal Control Monthly Report. And by the way, for those we're gonna let the police department go back and digest that proposal and see if they can come up with like a hard number, and that's a goal-setting thing, and then we can put that into a motion. Maybe, what do you want? You want 2 months, 1 month? 1 month, okay. Can we put this back on the January agenda, please, Daniel? Thank you. Okay, and if you need an extension, let us know, and, yeah. Because Lee's right, the reality is, we may want 11, but we're not gonna get it right away, right? So, but we want to get those goals set for you. Okay, cool. All right, Animal Control, monthly report?
Right now, Stephanie's the only one at animal controls. Paul's out, so I don't think she can make it today.
How's she doing?
She's doing good. She's working a couple hours.
Oh my gosh, 213.
Yeah, but you're still not taking, you haven't taken any to the county animal control for a while, so. Has that, I mean, I don't know if you know or not, but I know we were being told at the last meeting a couple months ago that with all the COVID turn-ins, that people are turning in their dogs after COVID, and the shelters was pretty full, and we were having a real hard time getting our pets new homes or new places to go. It seems like maybe that number is indicating that that's backed off a little bit.
I don't know, so.
Don't know?
No.
Okay. All right.
I gotta get new glasses.
You gotta get new glasses? Okay. You guys got any questions or comments on the numbers that you're seeing?
No, we just, again, that's another step, and we need animal control. I mean, we have a nice facility, we really could use animal control. I mean, Stephanie's part-time right now, and we have one main animal control officer. And I don't think, Commander, they don't have any volunteers as well either right now, or?
They have the 2 volunteers.
The 2? Oh.
Do the cleaning and walk the dogs.
That's all I had.
Okay, well, that's another thing to look at Mod 3 recruits who aren't gonna go on. They've got that 832, they'd be.
Perfect.
Nuts, and
Yeah. When do you think we're gonna get that staffed again? I mean, fully staffed up like we had it before? I mean, it's just an idea. I mean, for a while there, we were going really good, and then, of course, I know Stephanie was hurting and things, but it just,
yeah, with animal control.
I don't know, because I know there were 2 that were in the process. I don't know how that's going.
yeah, well, it's hard, you wouldn't have that answer anyway, so, sorry.
Yeah. But the nice thing about those positions, they're already funded, so we can fill them.
Yes,
If you find the bodies, you can fill them, so that's the important part. Okay. Okay, then let's go ahead and we'll move on to administrative report item number 4, the staff report for code and compliance, please.
Good evening. In the month of November, code compliance serviced 105 requests. We completed 100 inspections, issued 85 courtesy notices of violation, and 26 citations totaling $18,426. So we've been doing, every day, we go out to all the main corridors in the city and pick up any sort of, trash, miscellaneous items. And also we've started to include shopping carts. So we're now housing those shopping carts at the corporate yard. We have an officer that's dedicated to that. And they log them, they cite the store that they came from if necessary, and then they have the store come and retrieve them. And so it's a huge part of our undertaking, but it makes a big impact on the corridors. So in this month, they removed 45 shopping carts from public right-of-ways.
Wow.
What about the people that you see pushing their carts?
You can't.
Can you do anything?
Typically not. We try not to take any personal property.
Right. Okay. Just wondered.
Lee, do you have something?
That's a good program, though, to get these carts off the street. I know it's a pain in the neck, but.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it makes a huge
It looks
impact
nasty
out
when you're
there.
out there and you see them.
Hmm.
And I think it's probably a good thing to do.
We think it's a good use of the time.
Yeah, I know it's a burden. You don't like to do it,
Yeah.
but I tell you, it's very important. Do we have, they used to have, other cities have, of course, back money again, but they used to hire people who used to drive around and pick those carts up.
Right, yeah.
So we put the onus on each individual operator to do that. They have to, they submit what's called a shopping cart containment plan to the city, and we review it and approve it administratively. And within that plan, one of the requirements is that they have a retrieval company.
Yeah.
So the people that we're actually working with on a daily basis are the retrieval companies. They're the ones that we call, we say we've identified a shopping cart, please come and retrieve it from the courtyard. But in addition to that, they need to do daily sweeps on the weekends, and they need to be picking up carts too.
Okay, thank you.
Brian?
I just had a quick question, just an update, not on this, Christina, on the biggest eyesore I've seen for a while is it the Sahara? I mean, I drove by there, what's the latest on that? Because, I mean, that place looks dangerous, period, just going around that whole building. Is that something that the city has condemned? Have we red tagged it? Can we tear it down? Can we do a controlled fire and burn it down? I mean.
So
It's
every
scary.
single building on that block is obviously the same owner.
Oh,
We
wow.
have a
Wow.
case against every single property, and we have outlined every structure within those properties and all the pools. They are all red tagged. The most recent fires resulted in summary abatement by way of demolition of those fire damaged buildings. So those are both underway currently. One is at the Sahara, and then
the
the other
Sahara.
one is the corner property that is the northwest corner, 666-596 Street.
Oh, okay.
That one is also under
Okay.
demolition.
Oh, okay.
Because we did that summarily, it's going to be restricted to the fire damaged portions. And all that I can say currently now at this meeting is that there is action there's action underway. And so they're obviously very lengthy processes, but we have sort of the direction now, and we have the backing to move forward and have some real change there.
Yeah, I was just thinking if some of my citizens on patrol were in the air cruise around, I mean, it's city control right now. There shouldn't be any, I think we have injunctions, there should be nobody there whatsoever.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other various agencies that are taking their own action against them as well too. Environmental health
Great,
for
that's
the
fantastic.
condition of the pools, fire obviously. So there's a lot of other things going on, and I know it doesn't quite look like it to the public and the residents, but lots of things are happening.
And one last question, subject, from the last month and a half ago, working with you, as a volunteer for the police department, we've heard you guys are no longer under the umbrella of the police, or we're still working, or you guys are moving down here now. It's like, wait, where are you guys all going?
Yeah, so the goal is to move back to the city hall, move the departments back under the city hall. So it'll change quite a few things, but we still intend to work collaboratively with PD and maintain some of, their policies, procedures with respect to using radios, use of force, things of that nature. Being under the police department has been a great asset to code
really
compliance
has. It really
because,
has.
I would say that we work hand in hand very well and on a daily basis, and we need, the assistance, obviously out there. So it's great to have that partnership and those relationships. As far as, the bulk of the work that we do in code compliance It's administrative. It
Oh.
really truly
Oh,
is.
I
And,
see,
and
yeah.
those processes, we work heavily with the community development department, the city manager's office. And so
Oh, I see,
having
I
the
see.
distance has created some very significant silos. And so we're hoping that moving the departments back over here will correct that, and we'll have more of kind of a hands-on approach, and we'll also be more up to date with what's going on in the city. We've lost a lot of that moving to the police department and being so separate. Even with the most simplest things of a public works project,
You
we don't
guys
know
are-
what's
you-
going
you
on,
guys
and
are-
we're in the field and we
You
have
guys
no
are doing
idea.
awesome. You guys are working your tail off. I mean,
Thank you.
Just keeping the city clean, and I mean, again, I was just shocked. It's like, what? We can't live over there. It's like, but I mean, we're still working. But it was, something I brought up to our meeting last month, and I was like, we love working with code, our volunteers. We do.
Yeah, so the chief and I, we're wholeheartedly in agreement that we need to continue all the things that we have built up and established with respect to our relationship, and so we don't plan for that to go anywhere, so we will still be working very closely. I don't know how our attendance will affect this meeting specifically, but I'm always willing to come and give any reports, any statistics, anything you guys want to see.
We
I'm up
appreciate
for
all
it.
you do, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you still be coming to our meetings and stuff?
And so I don't know, I haven't heard yet. I would imagine I'm not, because I won't be a part of public safety specifically. But, if that's what the Public Safety Commission wants, then I'm happy to attend.
I think that we do need to work with the police department. That part is important.
Mhm.
I understand the administrative part, and you're absolutely right, I know what that is. But working with the PD, I think is very good, because the communication's great there.
Yeah,
And you guys
it's
are doing
been
a
a great fit
fantastic
for us.
job, really.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job. This city was a dump for a while, we all know it.
Why would
But
you
now
not
it's
be
it's
part
much
of it?
cleaner, much nicer. And I noticed the work done behind the dumpsters and stuff behind the markets.
Yeah,
And I used to complain about that all the time, but it was being cleaned up as you've done here. Because I was always complaining about that. And you guys were going out there, this is over the years, and you guys have cleaned them up all the time, because those stores are doing a better job. Only because you're making them do a better job,
thank you.
okay?
I just think your before and after pictures are just wonderful. You're doing a great job in making them, in appearance, just look wonderful. Thank you for that. It's, I mean, I've been in this city for so many years, and there's still so many streets and everything that I haven't been down in 50 years, and I don't even know that all these things were here in bad shape. Whatever. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know why you wouldn't be part of coming back. I don't understand that. Am I dumb?
Technicality, that's all it is.
Okay. All right.
Technically,
No,
we
you're
would
not
no
dumb.
longer be,
I agree with you. I think we all agree with you that we would like to see
Yeah.
code enforcement stay here,
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah,
it's.
we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously, you're going to report to somebody else, but we would still love it.
Right.
Because here's the deal, I mean, if you do your job right, their jobs are a lot easier. I mean, that's common sense, so, looking at your before and afters, there was a little boy who, when he was like 6 weeks old as a baby, he was brought to my wife to be in her daycare, and she basically helped raise him, and we would take him home, or we would go over and visit his parents. And I looked at 13415 Julian Drive as this junk pile for 12 years as we would go over there. The family, they finally moved. They moved to Las Vegas.
yeah, I was very excited for you to.
Yeah, there was nothing, there was nothing for them to stay here for. They were tired of dealing with it. Their jobs offered them new positions, and they said, we're done with California, and we're done with Desert Hot Springs, and we're done with that. And I just have to say thank you for getting it done. Even though they're not here anymore, we still go visit them. We still love them. But, and that boy is like a son to my wife. But, and his parents are like our brothers and sisters, right? But the deal is that's, it was great that you could get the owner to do that house up, and
That's great. Yeah.
and I'm sure that helped increase the value of the other properties around there.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
I'm going to make sure I send some text to some people I love and let them know that happened. In fact, can I take a picture?
I was just going to say, send the picture.
Yeah, take a picture of that. And,
Sure you can.
yeah, I mean, you still got some big challenges with the other hotels. So I'm not sure how we can help you with that, but
What about the Flintstone Hotel? Can't remember the name of it.
Oh,
So
the
it's,
Hyundai?
it's still under receivership. The last I heard, they had selected a buyer, and they were in the midst of trying to close escrow. Once escrow closes with whatever buyer, essentially what will go into effect is a compliance agreement with terms. And they need to meet those terms, and the receiver will oversee the length of that agreement.
Okay.
Every once in a while, when I'm driving up to Mission Lakes, I still see a light in there somewhere, or a car or something, and no one is supposed to be
They have
in there.
security in there.
Security.
There's
yeah.
security.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're probably saying, yeah.
All right.
And what's in the old David Spa, is that being renovated?
Is that the one on Hacienda?
It's the one right next to the Hyundai,
Right.
right
don't
there
know.
at
okay.
7th and Palm.
Ventana. Sorry.
Yeah, it used to be called.
Okay.
I'm
I don't know it as that
okay,
name,
'cause
sorry.
I'm like a little
Used to be
older
the-
than you.
Yes.
Okay, right? Yeah. it used to be-
So, yeah,
Of
there's
course, I
an-
remember Coffee Spa standing there and being the patrol officer walking through Coffee Spa
Yeah.
like you would have done at the Sahara right now.
They should have never taken that down.
Yeah, it was a nice
That
building,
was a
so.
great.
Yeah,
But-
so there's
They had
been
a
a
good
new owner
history.
there for about a year now.
Yeah.
He's done quite a bit of renovations on the interior. He plans to do renovations on the exterior, some pretty significant ones with like new parking, new trash enclosures. His blueprints, his visions, they all look renderings. They're
And that's to
beautiful.
bring it back as a hotel that's going to
Yes.
collect TOT, right?
Yeah, so he'll, I believe it's a hotel, and then doing what most people do currently, which is also listing as, short-term vacation rentals within the units.
Okay, okay, very cool. All right.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Christina? No? All right,
I'm
thank you
good.
very much. Thank you for your patience and hanging with us, so. Okay, Fire Department Chief.
Good evening again, Commissioners. So the activity report for November had a total of 471 calls. The average response time was 5 minutes and 68 seconds.
Wow. Seconds?
Excuse me, 5.68 minutes. The mutual aid was, Engine 37 went out of the city 76 times, and we received 327 mutual aids into the city. And there was some fairly significant activity. One of the properties we just talked about at the Sahara, there was multiple fires there. And we've been pretty busy just running emergencies. In addition to the emergent activity, we continue to work with code enforcement and the PD to wrangle in some of this fire activity from illegal dumping. And thus far, we've been very successful with, with our efforts. There's a couple of spots off of Palm Drive and 20th that have been hot spots for us over the last couple of years. And we haven't had a fire there in probably 6 months at either one of those spots. So the city's done great work to prevent the fires, and we're working on getting those things cleaned up as a collective group. On the equipment side of things, excuse me, an update for the medic patrol, medic squad. They still haven't procured a chassis as of yet. We're hoping that in the first quarter of 2023, we should be able to get that to the production company. I sat in on the Quantor light truck pre-construction meeting towards the end of October. We got everything all lined out for that, and as long as there's no significant supply chain issues, we should be able to have that thing done by the end of next year. So we're on track for those two items to hopefully arrive next year. And that's the end of my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Donna?
I'm good.
You answered mine.
You're good?
Yep, he answered mine too.
So the 20th Street problem, was that the new gate? Is that what kind of helped solve that?
That's definitely part of it, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can elaborate a little bit on our efforts. So
that was a nice move. I kind of I saw that
Yeah.
go up, I kind of like that.
So we sort of identified multiple areas in the city that have been hotspots for illegal dumping, and, most of that illegal dumping, there is a fire that starts as an effect of that. So Chief Beverlin, myself, Danny Porras, Nick Hacker, so Public Works, everybody got involved and just tried to tackle it each from their respective angles. And so one of the things that code enforcement focused on was ensuring that we do, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but we do inspections. We actually go out into these areas and we park off the beaten path and we wait for people to dump, and we use that new hefty fine that we have, and we go out there and we cite people thousands and thousands of dollars. Not only that, but we'll follow up with, any agency that they've partnered with and let them know that, hey, this company is illegally dumping and you should not be contracted with them. We've gotten the word out to everybody. We've made sure that we are not partnering with anybody that's doing illegal dumping. We've partnered with the building department to ensure that if these contractors are here in the city doing business, that they're showing proof that they're going out to the dump. In addition to that, Public Works has also gone out and put up the barricades that you see all over the city, put up the gates that you see all over the city. They worked with the local utility companies to make sure that they have access, and local property owners to make sure that they have access, but we're trying to block them in every area that we can possibly see fit. So my team goes out on a daily basis and looks for dumpers and looks for any sort of new hotspots, old hotspots, contractors. We see a truck coming up the street with a load, we make sure it's going to the dump. So it's been a huge, huge success. We've seen the fires completely stop. Some of the areas that were really heavily, green waste dumping, that has stopped.
Well, I was going to say, but you were saying hotspots, is that something that obviously our citizens can actually do, Christina Collin? Because I know I'm right there in the Desert View Estates where Hacienda ends, but from Hacienda where it ends all the ways to Two Bunch Palms, I'm seeing a lot of, I was going to ask the commander, but a lot of homelessness headed that way, more dumping, there's a shopping cart down there. It's like Choya, all the ways to dispensaries, that whole field. And I worry about a fire there because you got the water company owns all those big tapestries. They're starting to migrate it right over there lately.
So, yes, obviously you can report it, but I would say that what we're looking for specifically in these instances are large contractors that are dumping combustible materials, large-scale construction waste that may harm the environment, things like that. But of course, that is also something we can take care of.
Yeah, I like the gate because that would stop, because I see them, they'll just go Ironwood, dirt road, nobody going across Choya, down they go, and they're dumping. We need to put something there. And I'm not sure if it's a sea bag or whatever, because I know there was some wiring going around and they can't build, they're not going to build there, they can't. And so, to me, I don't know what the cities or code could do on that.
We can definitely talk about it with Public Works and see where their head's at. Obviously, we're not going to stop 100% of people.
No.
We want to do just enough to deter them, just enough to make it difficult for them. So it's definitely, if you want to send me an email, Brian, or call me, we can talk about it.
Great, thank you.
But once again, a proactive approach
Yes.
solves a problem.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Lee, did you have anything?
No, I'm good. Everything's fine.
Good? You're all good?
So we're all
I'm
good.
good.
God is good. God is
Okay.
great.
All right.
Let's thank you for this food that I haven't eaten.
Okay, we'll move to the item number 6, the police department monthly report.
Good evening again. For the month of November,
Sorry, sir.
for the month of November, we have 2,178 calls for service, 605 officer-initiated calls, self-initiated calls, and then 58 accidents for a total of 2,841. The different event types are about 157 traffic stops, 35 building checks, 102 vehicle checks, and 311 pedestrian checks, totaling 605. A total of 63 arrests for the month of November. Breakdown is 3 drug arrests, 6 DUIs, 19 felonies, 25 misdemeanors, and 10 were warrant arrests. And citations total 144, with 34 of those being misdemeanors, 96 of moving or traffic violations, 14 municipal codes. And moving to NIBRs, It's just a different reporting system now instead of the UCR, so it's breaking down for different.
Yeah, you can't even see it.
Pull it up on
Yeah, I
here.
got it here.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Can't even see
And then
it.
blow it up.
So I'm
Put
just
it
read
up
off
with your finger
some
like
of them.
this.
I did.
Oh, you did? There you
Yeah.
go.
For aggravated assaults, about 27, simple assaults, 24, burglary, about 23 for the month of November, 11 vandalisms, 25 drug violations, 1 homicide, and
Really?
Don't need to.
and from the looks of it, doesn't have anything else. And the update with the construction is, our dispatch center is complete, but right now, the dispatchers are at Cathedral City. The issue with not getting our in-house dispatch up and running is an issue with the vendor, with, I believe, the cloud-based system. So that should, hopefully should be resolved by January. Construction is almost complete with the front half of the police department, the report writing, watch commander's office, and records area. So that should be done by December. Next phase will be the wall around the police department. And then after that's finished, the second building annexed.
Okay, questions for the commander?
There's no gambling offenses, huh?
Yeah, I've got
No,
one.
that's-
We have any problem with catalytic converters? And
Yeah.
I know we had some for a while. Is it still going?
Recently, I haven't heard anything about, but it was
Oh,
a
that's
couple of
good.
weeks ago that was going on.
How
Yeah, with the
about,
neighbors.
how about all these taking packages off of people's
Oh.
front doors, front porches?
I haven't really heard anything
next
about that
page
recently.
Nothing about that?
No.
You know what I'm talking about, like
Or
UPS?
real-
Yeah.
Clear.
Well, that's good.
I didn't even
If
see
we
it.
haven't got those kind of calls. All right, excellent. All right,
I have a question, I have a question.
You actually had a lot of traffic. You had more traffic
Let
stops
me-
than you had last time. So, anyway, that's it with me.
Okay, Donna?
The 911 training, yeah, are you as extensive as the fire department?
I don't know. I can't speak on that part because June Casey's the one that's a dispatch supervisor, so I don't know how long their training program is. I know they do in-house training, send the dispatchers to a course at Ben Clark Training Center. I don't know exactly how long that course is. And then they do training at Cathedral City right now. But they
Oh.
are answering the phones and dispatching for Desert Hot Springs.
I just wondered, I mean, the fire department, they got it down. So, that's it. I think you're doing a great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Commander, I got a couple questions. One is, do we have a current team trying to tackle some of, I was talking to Christine about the homelessness, and do any of these stores, I don't know, between Christine, do we have injunctions about the lowering? Because it seems like Vaughn's getting bad. I mean, I know since Sarah, we had quite a few people there, but now they're just scattered. So I'm, just as I walked up here, we got people just camping out. I mean, it's obviously, we know, it's not a crime to be homeless, that's for sure. And, but, loitering is. I mean, how does one city be proactive and say, I mean, some people will be wanting help and some won't. Do we do what Banning and Beaumont and give them homes and, off the freeway? To me, we don't have the staff to do that anyhow, but is there anything being done with a team or anything, I mean, to try to be proactive to stop somebody? I mean,
Right now, we currently don't have a team since our homeless liaison officer transitioned to the detective bureau, so we're trying to work on having another officer fulfill his role. Because right now, it's just calls for service, so when the officers go out there, we try to give them resources, like the homeless. I mean, if not, it results in mostly enforcement. If they're refusing to leave, they do arrest them for trespassing. But we have nothing, not a proactive team at the moment that's going out there.
I think you've been doing some data collection though, haven't you?
I believe so.
Yeah, you hired a consultant or something to do some data collection. And you hired a good one. Yeah. So,
that's all I had.
okay.
I have one more question.
Sure, go ahead, Donna.
I see more and more food concession places all over the place, open very late at night. Are they under control with licenses, or how are you doing? I've never seen so many.
County.
Oh, it's all, well, no, there was one that was definitely in our city just before Dillon. Or isn't that Desert Hot Springs?
County.
Well, if you're at Camino Aventura
That's all
and
county.
Palm, that's on the south
Yeah.
side of
Yeah,
that, where they're
at
usually
10
at, that's
o'clock
the
at night, they're
county.
open.
It's unincorporated.
That's unincorporated.
I mean, that's good, but it's, I've never seen it that many, you know?
So, Commissioner, we kind of oversee the regulation of street vendors, and so the state of California has essentially said that they are allowed to supplement their income by way of doing street vending. However, in our city, they need to have a couple of things. If they're selling food, they need to have a business license, a street vendor permit, in addition to a county health department permit. So the majority of the people that you see along the Palm Corridor, if they are not like a fully enclosed food vehicle or cart, they are illegal, because that's the only way that they can get permitted. So it's very easily to identify a permitted vendor from a non-permitted vendor. That's one of the ways. The other ways is that they will have a large health department sticker. So to answer your question, code enforcement actively goes out and shuts down any illegal street vendors. It is an ongoing issue. It's an issue they're having statewide. The ones that you are referencing that are in the county, we do partner with the county agency to report them constantly, and they do come out, and they actually do seizures in the county of their vehicles, the whole thing.
So they need permit, yeah, so no pop-up tent, like 10 by 10s, like, hey, I'm sorry.
When you see the string lights and the
Yeah.
open grill,
Yeah, it
that's a
looks
good
good.
indicator,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like-
And so if you
it's a
report
totally
them, we
legal.
will go out, whether
Yeah,
it's
there's
the
a big one.
weekend,
There was a
nighttime,
big
late
one.
night.
It's always there.
Yeah, yeah. So we've actually shut them down a few times. They have had their property, it's everything but the vehicle, their property seized by the county. Just sometimes it's worth it for them, you know, unfortunately, to pop back up and start over.
No, I understand. I think their food is probably good and, you know, but it's more than I've ever seen.
Yeah, so
ever,
we,
you know.
just so you know, we do a really large sort of educational campaign to try to get them to be permitted. So we do, you know, we work with them, we have brochures in English and Spanish, we explain to them the process for the health permits. We get, you know, the county health department involved. I'm working on doing a city hall like seminar with anybody who's willing to get permitted or licensed or needs help with the application process. We're also looking into some ways in which if there is somebody that's undocumented and wants a permit, we're looking at avenues to try to figure out whether or not they can actually apply for the permit process void of a California state license. So we're trying to tackle it from all ways, but I think, you know, it's going to be an ongoing issue for a really long time.
Is that the same for people that are selling things?
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
any street vendor, the only true difference is that those selling food that is not packaged, so that's kind of the criteria,
Right.
also need the health permit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know.
Cool. And just to let you know, Post has the Commission on Peace Officer Standards of Training. They, for any dispatcher, police dispatcher, it's 120 hours, and they have to pass that post-training before they're allowed to be dispatchers.
Okay.
So, and then whatever the in-house training is, I'm not sure, you probably got, about a four-month training thing. So they have to, but I think most everyone you hired already has dispatch experience.
Yeah, the ones that.
Yeah, so they've already had their post
We've got some good
post-training.
dispatchers.
Good.
So the only question I had, Commander, was, and I asked it a couple months ago, was Two Bunch Palms Trail, and I had to sneak into town the other night. I think you and I were together, coming back from that hockey game.
Yep.
So, and sure enough, all the barriers and traffic cones are running
yeah.
right down the middle of Two Bunch. I'm looking, I didn't see any city symbols on them.
No.
I'm just wondering, does anybody just get to put up traffic
Is that a code
cones?
or a
And
police? Two Bunch Palms, cannabis.
Two Bunch Palms right there along where all the cannabis
Somebody put those
cultivation things are?
So Public Works put them up temporarily.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the long-term sort of solution is that those that are currently operating out of that smaller facility on the south side, that is kind of the reason why they've outgrown that building, obviously. And they're, you know, having to park on Two Bunch. They've actually just successfully moved across the street into that very large building.
Okay.
And so
That's what they did.
Yes,
That's why there were so many
so
cars. That's
you'll
a lot
see
better.
now that there's tons of cars over there.
Yes.
The next phase of their project will be to install a parking lot and then continue on with their phase builds. So slowly you will start to see all that
Okay,
traffic
so
disappear.
those barriers are there because someone from the city placed them.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, that's what we were worried. I mean, but,
Yeah,
you know, people
just to
flood through
ensure
If
that
the
people.
city department did it, I
yeah,
just- okay, I'm
just to
good.
mitigate the issues temporarily.
We've all
fly through
noticed
there.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that.
I just didn't want to see like, well,
No,
yeah, they're
we looked at
growing,
it.
we're growing all this stuff here and we'll just put up barricade barriers
That's right.
wherever we
No,
want.
no,
So,
no,
okay, that's
Okay,
cool.
that's
All right,
good,
that's very
Glad
good.
you
That
brought
makes
that up.
sense.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? No?
No,
We're
is
good?
there a speed limit over there that we know? Is that 35? Because most people do 50, 45 to 50, and it's dangerous over there. I
Now,
don't
it's
know.
more dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know what the speed limit is.
I mean, yeah.
It's got to be a business district, so it's probably going to be 35,
Should be
Yeah.
about 35, yeah.
so. Okay,
it.
let's
Let's go home.
move on to commissioner reports. Who wants to go first?
Okay. Here
Not
she
me?
is. You go,
Me?
yes.
I really got nothing to say as far as you're waiting there, right? Except for this December. You know, we've got some nice things that the city's doing. I'm looking forward to, like our light Christmas parade again, our own, and all the vendors and all the things. I'm looking forward to that happening Saturday. So I think being community active and proactive, like the Halloween thing we had that we didn't get, that went out with a kick. That was a blast. Great turnout at the park. I mean, we're the city as far as that overall with Public Works and the city and the police department and fire. We're headed in the right direction. So I want to tip my hat off to them, and that's all I have.
Okay.
Okay.
Donna?
I just want to say that all the curbs and sidewalks that they're putting in up to Mission Lakes Boulevard, they're doing a nice job, but I still don't agree with changing it into one lane. Why are they putting sidewalks and then taking one of the lanes away? I just don't understand it, because I think that there is enough traffic to have proper 2 lanes. And when someone is coming out from Palm, backing out, that extra lane is very helpful, to not getting hurt. So I don't know why they did that. So anyway, I'm just saying they are doing a nice job on the curbs and the doggone sidewalks and whatever. And
Getting sidewalks is nice.
it is nice, yes.
My
We
question
don't-
would be is why are we doing all that if we're going to tear it all out and do
That's
something
my
else?
question. That's what I'm saying. I don't get what they're doing.
I don't think
so-
that falls in our purveyance, so.
I know, okay. So I'll just end it by saying happy holidays, and please keep the reason for the season in your heart for next year, and I'll see you next year.
Lee?
Thank you.
I just got a couple things. I attended the State of the City meeting last month, and it was very good. Presentation was wonderful, and the mayor did a great job and told us what was going on, and that was fine. In fact, Commissioner Mitchell was there too,
Oh, good.
and I wish he was here tonight, but I guess he's not feeling well or something. I
He
don't know.
did not feel well, and he said, the last thing I want to
Okay.
do is get anybody
Well, I
else.
hope he's all right.
So,
And that was very good. And another thing is, if you remember, a month ago, we didn't have a meeting, but we were going to put the stop signs, putting lights around the stop signs, the solar lights. Remember I brought that up? And we made we were going to have a discussion on that today. But the city decided that they didn't want to do that. I got a message that we're going to, hopefully, we should put it on the calendar for January. And I'd like to make a motion that we do that if you accept that. Hopefully, the city engineer may show up, and he can discuss that with back and forth, and have some questions for him about the reason we want them, the reason we can't have them, or we can do it, I don't know what. But anyway, we can put that on the calendar, and I'd appreciate it if that's okay with the
Anybody want to
Chair.
second that, to place that on the agenda?
If I could just interrupt, Commissioner, we did speak about that, and we did email. We are going to have the city engineer, she will be here in January.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
just
I'd
thought
like to
it'd be a
add that-
good idea to get him to make a motion to agendize it, and that way we're good with the agenda, and make sure it's on there, right? So-
Okay.
So someone want to second Lee's thing? Okay, we're good, it's on.
Okay, I'd like to add to that.
Thank you, Dan.
What it's about is, I'm complaining, my main complaint, what I'm hearing about is mountain and two-bunch palms. It's so dark right there, at those stop signs. But if you guys notice somewhere where they're dark, you know, some's obvious they're not that dark, but there's got to be other ones out there. And you guys drive around, I drive around. Put it in your mind, write it down, and then we have our meeting next month. We can give that to the city engineer, and maybe they'll do something for him. I know that's not the only one, but I know it's there, and it's so bad. Heading south, you can't even see it. I mean, it just comes up on you. Now, if you know it's there, that's fine, but people that travel that street that don't know it, but anyway, we shouldn't discuss it now. But that's what I'm trying to get at, okay?
Okay,
So just
great.
keep your eyes open for any dark stop signs and make a little list of it, and we'll talk about it. Thank you. That's it with me.
And Daniel said he's going to agendize that for January.
Thanks a
Uh,
lot, Daniel.
Yeah, just remember, come January, some of us may not be here. So, you know.
That's true.
Huh?
Where are you going?
Well, you know, here's the deal. Gerald sent out an email, so make sure you check your emails. He sent out a thing, so if you would like to continue your service on the commission,
Well, I'll be calling my appointer.
you can do that, or you can, well, I think you need to respond to Gerald's email so he can
Right,
do the formal thing. And then council will meet, I believe, at their January meeting, they'll
Well, we'll be
decide.
here for January.
We should be here for January, yeah.
Is that when they announce it as January?
Yeah, they should let us know, so, but,
Well, that's a good point.
but, you know, like I said, it's one of those things where we, you know, come the January, February meeting, we'll probably do see if there's some goal setting we want to do. You know, the goal that I set many years ago, Chief Beverlin has delivered on, thank you, sir. So now my other thing is moving forward with this goal setting for the department.
That's where my mind's at.
But if there's something, I think we're almost there, so it'd be kind of nice to come up with something. I mean, street signs, that's a great one. But that's, you know, our engineering department's been doing a great job.
Yeah.
So maybe think of something, whether I'm here or we're all here or not, one of us is going to be here.
At
The
least you
odds
know
are,
what it's about,
so it'd be
yeah.
nice to whoever, if there's a new group here to.
And I
at least
want to
have
wish
some-
everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And enjoy the holiday. And maybe we'll see each other in January, maybe we won't, who knows?
Well, make sure you answer Gerald's email, so you give him the legal ability to submit your name.
Yeah.
And then.
So I don't know what's going on with my email, but I didn't even get the agenda, so I'm gonna make sure they have that, because I haven't seen any emails. from
Yeah,
the
it
city.
came out just before the meeting, actually.
Yeah.
I think,
I
yeah.
haven't
Just
seen
from
anything.
Gerald, yeah.
so.
Yeah, so anyway, make sure we get back to Gerald and let him know what your wishes are. Other than that, I've got nothing else, other than
Yeah.
to wish everyone a happy holiday. It's gonna be really like the
Well, we
first
care
Christmas
about
since
you.
COVID. So I hope you all get together with the people you love and have a great holiday. And we are done and out unless, is a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yep. Motion, second?
I second.
Second.
Okay, we are out. Thank you, people. Thank you, everyone.